James is having a s'more chocolate beet waffle today, and I'm having chocolate beet waffle with Saskatoons. And if he chooses, he can have Saskatoons also and pomegranate arrows, because we have both there. Are you going to sit down, James, or what are you doing?
Which way you wanted to go. Are you going to go this way?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize.
I always do.
Okay.
So, I've been working all morning on this, and this invention I came up with a few months ago, and I've just been waiting. Yep, s'more chocolate beet waffle. It's awesome. So how did I make this waffle? Well, if you've been watching my video posts for the past few days, I have been making hot chocolate beet. And I have actually been using the sieve and straining it in front of you. So, I've been drinking the liquid. What was I doing with the solid stuff that I was straining off? Well, I was saving it for this. This is my own invention, so if you see somebody making chocolate beet waffles, it's mine. My invention. I came up with this. Nobody has done anything like this. I have been checking. This is mine. And I will provide the recipe because it's just so awesome. I can't keep it from the world. But I have made other things with the strained chocolate beet stuff, which also my recipe. Nobody has done this. You have your choice.
Yeah, I know. The pomegranate stuff's going to last in case I can't use it all up,
Oh,
right?
They'll both last. I'm going to put them in the fridge.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, I told you how to make the stuff. And then you just add, I've been telling you all summer, waffle summer, how to make waffles, how I make my waffles. So this one, because I wanted to do the s'more thing, I used rye flour. Because rye flour actually makes it taste a little bit like graham crackers. So, we'll see what James has to say about this.
Go with s'mores. Is that,
yes.
What do they call those, s'mores?
Yes.
But these are s'mores. It's weird, like... Tastes pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I was a little apprehensive. I'm not a big fan of the beet chocolate. The beet just overwhelms the chocolate for me.
Yeah.
Well,
so, if you are trying to get your child to eat
s'mores?
Various vegetables that are really difficult, well, I don't think you'll have a hard time getting your child to eat s'mores.
I just woke up kind of, sort of.
But, maybe, you know,
oh my gosh.
Maybe when James was little, he had a hard time eating s'mores. I don't know. I mean, I was
no
incredibly picky.
There was no such thing as a kid.
Oh, okay.
At least not in Africa. And
I see.
I can't remember there being anything like that. I don't know how recent this stuff is.
Yeah.
But definitely not in Africa. I mean, we didn't get candy bars in Africa. We were out in the countryside. And I mean, a treat for us was to go into Livingston, 80 miles away. But that'd be about 120 kilometers away. And maybe a bit, somewhere around. And to get a book bought for us. That's what a real treat was.
Yeah.
That still is a real treat. I mean, food's awesome. Books are awesome too.
Yeah. So, yeah, the hot chocolate beet, I was so hopeful when I tried that one out on James, but he did not want it. It was not to his taste. So
No, it's
he
not
can still
something I
taste
can
the beet.
choose. Oh, there's just something about beets ever since I got stem cell therapy and stuff like that. It just drives me wild.
Yeah.
I used to love beets, so I don't know.
So
It's-
anyway, I thought this, I bet you he'll be able to. Well, I've tried a few things with beet stuff and like bliss balls, whatever, you know, just various.
So did you put a little bit of beet, dab of beet in the apple then?
I did, just
Never.
to give you a little warning that there was a whole lot of beet in that waffle.
Well,
Or-
you know, the apple overwhelmed the beet.
well, there was no.
It
there
is
was
just a
drop.
yeah, I can tell. I mixed it in.
Yeah. But if you have the pickiest child in the world, they will eat that. And you
I
will be
think
able
so.
to get beet into them. So, anyway. I mean, children, it's tough for them because everything tastes so strong.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, they
It's
haven't
intense.
killed off their taste buds sensitivity yet with all the things in the world like MSG and stuff. I think that's really it, or burning their tongue or whatever.
Well, I think a lot of it, for some people at least, would be alcohol and cigarettes.
That too.
Can you imagine what it's
Yeah.
like for you know, like I don't think it's a secret. Like it actually indicates how strong you are. You were a very mild smoker, right? Was it 1 or 2 cigarettes a day, something like that?
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is when I was a teenager, when I was a little kid, I was a very picky eater, and I would refuse to eat. Like, I would go for days without eating if I didn't get what I wanted. And it's not like I wanted anything that was, like, ritzy or whatever, anything fancy. I wanted specific things, and I only wanted those specific things. They weren't expensive things. They were just, that was my taste. And the other stuff, it didn't taste like food to me. I didn't want to eat it. I wouldn't eat it. So I guess it started from there. But then when I was a teenager, I was looking at a picture of myself recently. My sister had scanned and emailed, and I was like, wow, I was skinny. But, you know, a lot of girls have troubles when they're going through changes from girl to, you know, developing their secondary sex characteristics, whatever. And I was one of those girls. And so, and I had trouble with it throughout my teens. And honestly, I have to say, you know, I've had trouble with it throughout my life. I mean, I just, I can literally keep myself from eating. So, I don't necessarily think that everybody is as prone to being addicted to things as everyone else. You know, me, I guess my addiction is controlling what I eat, stopping. You know, if I'm addicted to that, right? I suppose, in a way, rather than addicted to just, oh, I can't stop myself from eating, or I can't stop, you know. Other people have that problem, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that
Smoking.
when I started on that. Yeah,
Smoke.
so with smoking, I mean, once I was introduced to that, I think 14 or 15 maybe, 14, I don't remember exactly, but it was more of a treat for me to keep them around. Like, I'd put them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer because they'd go stale too fast. But
Because you weren't slamming them
no.
away? Yeah.
But, I mean,
Amazing.
sometimes if I was sitting with my friends and they were smoking a lot and whatever, when we were drinking or when we were having coffee or whatever, then I would smoke more. But it was more of a treat for me to keep myself from smoking. So when left to my own, that's what I would do. So,
But you'd average like 1 or 2 a day, right?
yeah, 2.
And what you do is, I think you were smart about it. You made it kind of like a treat instead of something that
I would set it up as a
needed
ritual.
to live. Yeah.
So I'd in the morning I'd have one with a coffee under the moon, and it was lovely.
So
and then
this would
in
be
the
before
evening,
work,
I would
right?
have one, yes.
Yeah.
In the evening I would have one with a glass of wine. Again, outside.
You
know,
wouldn't
it
smoke
was-
inside ever, right?
No.
Yeah. And you had this nice deck here, at least once you moved here.
Yes. So it's lovely to sit
Right? And
on.
you'd come out, and the moon would be out
Well, I
to
always
the
had
south.
a deck to sit on. You know, when I rented in apartments or whatever.
Oh, in Calgary.
Yeah,
Was that in
I
Bridgeline?
made
then
sure I had
you
some
one
place to go out and sit so I could have my cigarette.
there? So Pauline made it civilized. I've seen people where it's as important as breathing, you know, like they're just lighting one cigarette literally with, or almost with another.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've got one going, the next one going. I can remember one guy telling me he was doing that. Before he started, right? We were in a restaurant. He's saying, "I'm cutting down." What are you doing? Like 2 cigarettes at a time? Because he was just going from one to another. Anyway, but the triumph is the way Pauline quit cigarettes. I mean, she was saying, I didn't know because I'd only seen her work. And so I didn't know she was a smoker or anything like that. But then she'd smoke like one a day or whatever, like a vitamin or something like that. And she was saying right away, as you can see, I wasn't a smoker. Well, I wasn't going to tell her not to smoke or anything like that. But she said, watch, I'm going to quit. It's easy.
Yeah.
I was skeptical. I wasn't cynical. But I mean,
No,
wow,
it's-
okay.
It's easy.
There
it's
you
easy
go,
to
folks.
quit anything. You just have to have the right frame of mind, I guess. Like, you were thinking, oh, well, you mustn't like food like I do. No, I love food. And that's what makes it even more, I don't know,
How about trying?
whatever. More exciting, more
Of a
Whatever.
challenge?
when I give things up it's, that I like, you know, it's like, ooh, I get a little bit of a thrill out of it.
But so that lasted for November, December, a couple of months. And then my mom started to really go downhill. She had 5 strokes in about 5 months. And I went away for about 2 weeks. And basically visited her hospital. I was there like 8 hours a day. I guess they let me stay outside of visiting hours. I'm not sure how it worked out. I talked to her. She was grasping what I was saying, but she wasn't able to talk in any articulate fashion. And could barely move and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, when I got back, Pauline was back to smoking again. And about the first thing Pauline said was, I'm going to quit. Watch, it's easy. Now, I wasn't cynical, but I was more skeptical. And that was back in 2003, very early 2003. So it's been more than 18 years. And I think maybe a couple of times someone's dropped by and wanted to share their cigarettes. Really sleazy thing to do, because with most people that's going to put them back on the track.
Yeah, but it won't for me.
But not for Pauline. It was amazing. I think it was the same person both times.
Yes.
Well, like a zombie, you know. Let me share my
Well,
problem. But there are lots of people that way.
and she's
like
the
with
person
COVID.
that got me onto smoking.
There you go. Anyway, and I don't have much sympathy with folks who are on opioids, because hey, I've been on opioids. It wasn't my choice. I've said before that they were diagnosing as terminal without using the term terminal. Am I making it up? I try not to get involved in melodrama. Here's what happens. They've got me on something like OxyContin or whatever. One of those oxy things, which I get are opioids. Fairly mild. And they were saying, hey, you know, you've got 5 fractured vertebrae, you're having back spasm, you're in a considerable amount of pain. We want to keep you on the oxy. Well, we want to keep you on painkillers. But the stuff you're on now is bad for your liver. I think they were saying for my kidneys too. And my kidneys, I was in renal failure initially. So I said, I don't want to get hooked. Now, was I making it up about me being terminal? Here's what the doctor said. She had a sense of humor, but she was joking on the square. She said, she was trying to persuade me to go switch over to hydromorphone, which is definitely an opioid. Well, I think so. Definitely first. Maybe. Anyway, she said, James, do you like pain? You're dying. Who cares if you get hooked? Yeah. Now, when I say they were diagnosing me as terminal, they didn't use the term, but when she says you're dying, that's not like, you're like every human being and you're going to die like a generation or two down the road or whatever. You're dying. Anyway, I got on the hydromorphone. It wasn't my idea. And I was against it. But, you know, when you're in a lot of pain, you're looking for ways out. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't even bother. Because opioids aren't very good for back spasms. They don't make much difference. Anyway. Because they're happening anyway. And it's probably better to know your back is telling you, don't do this, don't do that. You should listen to your back instead of trying to muffle it with opioids. But, you know, like, I didn't have that really pinching pain. You know, if you got that, or the stabbing pain, you got to do something. That's agony. That's not pain. Anyway. After about a year of that, we were coming down from Grand Prairie to Lethbridge here. And we were making our way slowly through, in more ways than one, through the Alberta parks. Jasper and then Banff. So we'd set it out so it was going to be part of 4 days. And I'd calculate we did about 10 miles a day on average. And believe me, I was in pain, but not from lack of opioids. So what happened was I packed early. That's unusual for me. I'm usually, Pauline's got the car packed with lots of things. She's moving stuff back and forth. Going up to Grand Prairie, it's full of gifts and things like that. Coming back, it's a Friday. Anyway, I couldn't find my hydromorphone. I couldn't. I really didn't have the strength to be moving all this sort of stuff. So I'm going, they told me, don't cold turkey on this. Do not go cold turkey. I didn't have much choice. And you know what? No sniffing. No shivering. No nausea or whatever. No nightmares. I'd been on it, and it was a fairly high dose. No, yeah. It's not heroin. It's definitely not fentanyl. But it was a fairly high dose. And I didn't feel any withdrawal. Now, we were doing a lot of walking.
I think it was the hiking.
And at 10 miles a day, you're going to get some endorphins going in your system. And they're psychoactive and all this sort of stuff. They are, I think, related to, or hit the same centers in the brain as opioids. So I only realized that later, you know, like, holy smokes, you know, that's maybe how to, I don't know how long does withdrawal from opioids last? Would it be like 4 days?
Maybe.
Anyway, might have discovered a...
Go to Banff.
No, go to Banff, hike with altitude, and it might work out for you. Like, I've had no craving for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, I really don't need it, you know, like, I'm a pretty happy individual, despite whatever garbage reality might throw at me or at us and our dogs. When you, like I've said before, when you hear me grumbling, when you hear me griping, there is good cause for griping. There is just, you know, griping about COVID. This is insane. Letting it get out of hand. Letting it catch in the first place. Griping about full gauches. You guys and gals, you guys have been nuttier and nuttier since the 60s. And the 60s were absolute craziness. I mean, good intentions and all this kind of stuff, but just garbage craziness from the faux gauches, the fake left-wingers. All sorts of stupidness. And they expect people to you know, support them in their political causes. They're walking around with hair down to their you-know-whats. I did the same thing too, but I wasn't going around saying, hey, you know, like, follow me down the royal road to ruin, you know, like, I wasn't being a political. It was just, I didn't like getting my hair cut. I had a biblical beard. I didn't like shaving. All sorts of stupid craziness. You know, and then there was the sexual revolution. You know, wow, awesome. And then they're going around, hey, we had nothing to do with AIDS. I'm not talking about gay people. I'm talking about heterosexuals. I'm talking about the whole schmear. Crazy irresponsibility. And yet you're not supposed to hold people accountable for crazy behavior that leads to them dying. Oh, you're blaming the victim. They victimize themselves.
Cultures have consequences.
Culture has consequences. And that just doesn't seem to have stuck with these idiots. They do not learn from experience. And particularly other people's experience. They're going around saying, how did that happen? Well, you know, like, how did Robert Mugabe have a famine? Wow, let's go and bail him out. Commies do this every time. Every time they take over, they have a famine. They have a food crisis. What was I reading about recently? One place that we haven't really heard about. I can't remember. I think it was like in the 19th century. There was something like a pre-communist movement. And sure enough, they had a famine. I don't think it was, maybe it was 1870, 1871. But that really didn't affect the countryside. Can't remember where it was. It's insane.
Okay, so I'm going to have to talk about how to make the waffle.
Sure.
Just for a minute, because we'll run out of time otherwise.
We got 3 minutes?
You take the beet stuff that you've skimmed off your hot chocolate beet, and to make these 3 waffles, I needed 3 servings of hot chocolate beet. So, you skim that off, you stick it in the fridge, and if you look back at other videos, then you find out how to make hot chocolate beet. So I'm not going to go over that again. Take your skim stuff. So I call the stuff that I've skimmed off the cream, so beet cream. And it also has some, in this case, it has chocolate solids and coconut solids in it, but and dates. chopped up dates. So but it's depending on what vegetable I'm using, what I'm boiling. I mean, you take the juice and there's going to be some semi, like, solids come through in the straining. So anyway, you take that and you put it in the bowl with the rye flour and baking soda and either eggs or xanthan powder and a little bit of water to just to get it to the right texture, and it won't take very much. So then your mix is going to be a kind of pinkish color, and you're going to be like, I don't know if this is going to work out. Well, when it cooks, it's a perfect chocolate color. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. So it works out. So you take your waffle iron and you put the extra virgin coconut oil on the waffle iron to keep it from sticking, because otherwise it might, because it's a pretty moist batter, and it's it has some stickiness to it, right? So but I had no problem. None of my waffles fell apart this morning. They all worked out perfectly. So you can do it. It's not that hard. So you mix it up, you put the batter on the iron, cook it, and when you're going to lift your iron, I've talked to my sister recently and she's like, I'm not making waffles, they always fall apart or whatever, I hate them. And I'm like, you just have to be patient. So
these ones aren't falling apart.
No. When you cook them, people have problems with them pulling apart because you yank open you don't do that with the waffle iron. You just touch it. Just touch it to lift just a little bit with the strength of your pinky finger. And if it's not going to go yet, it's not ready. It's really that simple. It tells you when it's ready. You listen to it. But perhaps that's because I'm a gardener, and I'm the kind of gardener, I listen to what my plants are telling me, and they get water when they need it. They get nutrients when they need it. Whatever.
That having been said, your sister's an awesome cook, and
yeah.
She's an awesome
But
parent,
she was a very busy woman, because
very busy,
and so she perhaps she couldn't afford to be patient.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a nicer and more competent person. So
yes,
she helped save my life.
Mother of 2 sons and one big adult son, and
yeah.
She had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Anyway, so you take your waffle, and once it's done, you put it on the plate, and you stick your marshmallows around, and then you stick it in the broiler. And it won't take long for those marshmallows to get all melty and toasty on top, just like you'd campfire roasted them. And take your oven mitts and pull out the plate, and then in the meantime, while that's toasting, you've been cooking another waffle. So that waffle's ready. You put it on top, you got yourself a s'more. So that's a pretty fancy recipe, and it's not that hard. It just takes a couple days worth of saving your hot beat chocolate cream, and perfection. I'm glad I found another recipe that James will eat beets with. I'm a little,
this is
eating
going
marshmallows.
Down. This is a lot of
not
stuff
that
here.
Healthy.